This is the Uke Revolution. I'm Brooke, and you're watching a lesson for the band song, The Wait. In this lesson, I'll show you the original key, chords, a couple of strum ideas, the chord patterns you need for each part, and an example of the chords with the lyrics. This song is really straightforward. It's just verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, like same layout for the whole thing the whole time. So I'm just going to show you one verse and one chorus. I'm also going to touch on the Aretha Franklin cover version a little bit, how it's kind of different stylistically and rhythmically, and what chords you can use to play that if you want to play the Aretha Franklin version. There's a PDF song sheet for this song. It's available in the member library. You can check the caption below for links to membership program information or how to buy just this one song sheet. The chord and lyric part of the song sheet is for the original version. Everything that's on the screen today, including the Aretha Franklin version information, is on the PDF. Let's see the chord shapes. Not too many. There's one more that's not listed here that I'll tell you about. So we have A, C sharp minor, D, D suspended 2, and F sharp minor. We also need A major 7. A major 7 is 1 1 0 0. It's just the top two strings, the G and C string of the first fret. The chords for each part. For the verse very simple. A for 2 beats, C sharp minor for 2, D for 2, and A for 2. And we play that 4 times to play a verse every single time. So if we play it with just a simple down strum, it will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. A, C sharp minor, D, A, C sharp minor, D, A. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the strum patterns because we're really only going to use the strum patterns for the verse chords. The chorus chords is mostly just strumming down because there's so many little changes and things happening. In these strum patterns, I'll just show you real quick. The F is a flick. So it's an up motion. You're going to hit the strings. You may not fully strum the strings. They won't make a full strummed sound. It helps me keep the rhythm. So even if I'm not really intoning the strings, it's this kind of sound. This is exaggerated, but it's like an upward chunk. So for this song, we're in 4/4, but it's a subdivided beat. So we're counting 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. One of these strum patterns is one of the bars up here. So this one will sound like this. I'm just going to play an A chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up chunk, flick, flick 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 down, up chunk. If you don't do the flick motion, it's just down, up chunk. Down, up chunk. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So for the verse, the A will be down, up, chunk, flick, flick, and the C sharp minor will be down, up, chunk, flick, flick. So if I play the verse chords with this strum, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, chunk, flick, flick down, up, chunk, flick, flick down, up, chunk, flick, flick down, up, chunk, flick, flick. Down, up, chunk, flick, flick down, up, chunk, flick, flick down. And you're using that flick area right after the chunk. You can start changing chords because you're not really strumming the chord up. And the second one here is down, up, chunk, down, up, chunk. Again, these flicks, you can leave them in or not. They help me keep the rhythm. They make it sound a little more rhythmic if you're making that somewhat percussive sound. So I'll play this one with the verse chords. I'll do it without the flick and then I'll add the flick in. And I'll tell you when I'm going to do it. 2, 3, 4. Down, up, chunk. Down, up, chunk. Down, up, chunk. Down, up, chunk. With the flick. Down, up, chunk, flick. Flick 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 down, chunk, flick, flick. So to achieve that really crisp flick sound, I always have something touching the strings. Some part of my chord hand is touching the strings when I'm moving chords to keep them muted. And then let's look at the chorus. So this is the take a load off Fanny part. So let me play this and I'm going to count while I play it so you can see what it sounds like and looks like before I break it down. Maybe then it's less confusing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3. We have 3 bars to start with, which are all the same. A for 1, A major 7 for 1, D for 2. So you can see we do that 3 times. 1, 2, 3. On this second line in the second bar, we have D on 1 and. We're going to strum down twice. And we sustain it for 2 more beats. So we have 1, 2, 3. On the 4th beat, then we're going to strum the D suspended 2. 4, 1, 2, 3. This is a bar of 3. They leave out 1 beat. And then we're back to moving through things at a faster rate. We have A for 1, A major 7 for 1, F sharp minor for 1, and A for 1. So these are all just down strums. Then we have D for 2 and D suspended 2 for 2. So here you could go back to the strum pattern if you want, or you can just down strum those 2. And the same thing with the D in all of these initial bars, first 3 bars here that are the same and have that D for 2. You can do one little round of that down up chunk for each of those Ds. The verse is pretty simple, but the chorus is a little bit nuts, so it'll definitely make more sense when you see it with the lyrics. So let's look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulled into Nazareth, I was feeling about half past dead. Just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned, shook my hand, no was all he said. Take a load off Annie, take a load for free. Take a load off Annie, and you put the load right on me. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, it goes right into the next verse. You may have noticed here, I padded to keep the beat. So we've got that on the last line. Down, down, and 2, 3, right on me. I would say that's the trickiest part, especially because the main vocal and the backup vocal, the rest of the band, sing this line at different times, and I find it easier to follow the backup singers actually. So I arranged this with you put the load right on me with the beats. Those little hyphens are showing you where the beats come, 1, 2, 3. The way that the backup singers sing it, because I find it easier to do this rhythm and with this coming back in, following them instead of following the main lead singer. How does this song end? At the end of the last chorus, instead of just playing this line once, this last line, we're playing it 2 times, and we end on the D suspended 2. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's unresolved. If it bothers your ears that it ends on this very open, non-key tone chord, you can play it A to resolve it. It's up to you. The Aretha Franklin version, it's in a different key and there's a key change. I just wanted to show you briefly what it looks like and sounds like in case you want to mess around with this style of it. It's a little bluesier. The chorus is simplified a bit in between the choruses and the verses in this version. It's a little more confusing. It's not as straightforward what they're doing. So I would just take some freedom with it if you want to play it in this key on your own. So we're in B flat. And we're playing B flat for 2, D minor for 2, E flat for 2, and B flat for 2 in the verses. In the chorus, we don't have that bar of 3 like in the original production, and we have a much simpler chord structure. So we're playing B flat 7 for 2, E flat 7 for 2, and we repeat that bar 3 times. And then the rest of the chorus is just the E flat or E flat 7. All these E flats down here at the end, if you want to make them 7s, you can as well. And you can also just make any of these B flat 7s or E flat 7s regular B flat or E flat chords. So we have a slower change here instead of that 1 and 2, 3, 4. Those punctuated down strums before the and. They're coming on 1 and 2 instead of on 1 and. So it happens a bit slower. So this E flat will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, put the load right on me. Feels a bit like free form in the Aretha Franklin arrangement in between choruses and verses. So you can kind of do it how you want to. So let me play a verse and a chorus with these chords and you can see what it sounds like. So on the verse, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulled into Nazareth, I was feeling about half past dead. Just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey mister, can you tell me where a woman might find a bed? He just grinned, shook my hand, no was all he said. Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny, 1, 2, put the load right on me, 2, 3, 4 verse. Picked up a bag, looking for a place to hide, etc., etc. This version does have a key change in it. It doesn't happen until the very last verse, and the last chorus of the song. So to achieve that key change on the chorus right before it, chorus 4, this last E flat will be an E. Whenever you're ready to change keys, you're just going to go from E flat, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, B. Those chords and the key change, we're just knocked up a half step now. B for 2, D sharp minor for 2, E for 2, B for 2. And in the chorus, the final chorus, we have B7 and E7. As always, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and a special thank you to my members for helping support the Uke Revolution and keep these lessons and song charts coming. Happy strumming and stay funky. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.